with everything last week holding itself to accountability. It is a championship that continues to crunch and bring itself closer and closer to fruition. There are just 3 rounds left of this championship, and to each of their own, it is a track today that proves that it is all about timing, positioning, and above everything else, speed. This is an incredible circuit. Welcome to the Fuji International Speedway for your Grand Prix Legends 2023 Season 4 Championship. It's round 10, and it's with us here at the Global Sim Racing channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, race fans around the world. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me in the booth today is Joey Atterbury. Robert O'Brien is on the cameras, which are provided today by Dougie Beard around a circuit which houses itself as one of the legendary tracks, despite having only 4 Formula One Grand Prix held at it. This, an incredible circuit here, the Fuji International Speedway. It's gone through many changes, but this one has stayed the same. Let's get an understanding of what this has been for the past 18 years with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Fuji International Speedway. Built right at the foot of the picturesque Mount Fuji and a mere 1.5-hour drive southwest of Tokyo, it certainly resides in a prime location. Having been around since 1967, this place is perhaps most well known for its presence in the classic video game Pole Position. However, its modern incarnation looks nothing like it did back when that game came out in 1982. At just under 3 miles, or 4.5 kilometers, its 2 layouts have 14 and 16 turns, which is significantly more than what it started with. Without the banking that used to be a part of the first and final corners, its most notable feature nowadays is the front stretch that covers nearly a full mile. The turns that make up the other half of the track make for quite a technical challenge. It includes everything from the long sweeper of 100R to the tight confines of hairpin, to the finicky back and forth of nets. This place hosted Formula One back in the 70s and again in the later 2000s, but it has a much stronger history hosting endurance racing. Sports cars are still a heavy staple here. That's not to say open-wheelers don't still call this place home, though. Lower-level formulas, as well as Japan's popular Super Formula, make frequent visits. From humble origins in sim racing's history to arriving 40 years later on iRacing, Fuji has been a fan favorite for a long, long time.
Tell you what, there is not a single circuit in the world that I would rather be seeing racing at than this one here today. Joey, this is the perfect blend of the old and the new, the opening sectors of the circuit, all the way through 100 right to the hairpin. Of course, the new here today, we're not running the chicane layout, which is big, but the new up through the next corner into Panasonic. It's a pretty big spectacle.
I think that's a good way to describe it, and it's oftentimes overlooked here in iRacing, but Fuji International Speedway, 2.79 miles, 4.49 kilometers, 14 turns by the book. And you're right, huge, monster straightaway. Probably your biggest and best passing opportunity is into that very tight turn 1. You also have a huge brake zone to get that done, but we've heard that it is hammer down. Put your foot down and really slide these cars through some of the faster corners. A couple more to look out for. The hairpin area, that is also known as turn 6. A good passing opportunity. As Jake, you were mentioning, we are not running the chicane. So down there at Dunlop turn 10, it is the fast right-hand kink. But then we close out this racetrack, the final handful of corners. Turns 11, 12, 13, 14. By far the slowest on the racetrack. You really have to tiptoe the car around. Be careful with that right foot on the accelerator, but coming out of 14 Panasonic, you better be able to put the power down because that straightaway is massive.
It's a painful end to the lap when you consider it's off camber, off both of the penultimate hairpin bends. So keep an eye out on drivers having to really feather that throttle here today. Championship is absolutely brilliantly close right now. 5 drivers all within 1 race victory's length of Sebastian Tixier, who leads at the top of the standings with Oye Zamayoa and Hervé Trengarade second and third. Hervé's first win of the season last time out was huge. Togo Hasada finds himself fourth and on home territory today with Jorge Nieva in fifth position. John Olsen leads the best of the rest in sixth ahead of Marco Antonio Lopez, Jason Clapper, Laust Olsen and Gary Ho back there in 10th position. It's an important battle that we've seen so far in the championships. F2 closed in last week, Joey.
Right now it is Bjorn Ackerman leading the way. Jan Steffen giving chase, but look at it. It starts to tighten up a little bit after the third place of Kurt Clapper. Only 7 points separating Michael Grissinger and Tobias Harnvey, but include Terry Tromshauser in that as well as Eloy and Costa, because they are only a handful of points separating those drivers as well. Then it kind of falls off a little bit from 8th on down. Gonna be curious to see how these drivers close out the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it's an amazing run-in for the championship here as the Cup of Nations scrolls across on screen. That run-in, by the way, is Fuji, Bathurst, Philippe Island. An incredible end to the championship. Spain on top ahead of Singapore by 12 points. They will continue to scrap all season long, with Norway leading up the rest in third, ahead of the United States and the United Kingdom, fourth and fifth. Japan are in sixth ahead of Germany, with Australia in eighth. Denmark 9th, and a long gap back to Finland, who are 248 points adrift as it currently stands. This is what they're dealing with today, Joey. It's open setup, so I think there might be a little bit of trade-off today.
There always is here, but round 10 of 12 and 21 laps are what the competitors are going to have to do around Fuji. And like you were saying, an open setup, so you get to tweak and tune the car how you drive. If you need a little bit more stability, well, you can do that. If you want the front end to point a little bit more, you can make those adjustments. Then, no spare car, so if you have any damage, if you run into any of your competitors out on the racetrack or into a wall, well, guess what? You're going to have to live with it or come down pit lane, get that fixed. Drive-through penalty at 17x, disqualification at 25x. Jake, there's plenty of area to run off the racetrack here. Collect those 1x's, but I have a feeling sometimes it's better to stay safe, go off the racetrack, than collect somebody else.
Yeah, I think that safety is going to be of the highest paramount here today, and how safe you can be, especially with these massive open wheel, chunky tires on the backs of those Lotus 49s. It is crucial. Zamayoa finishing his second lap and absolutely flying, smashing the fastest lap by about a third of a second. Going brilliantly then and getting that sorted quite nicely up into the racing that's gone on. That is brilliantly sorted and up into that first position. Claridge there in second. Jorge Nieva with a great time in third. Tixier currently finds himself down now in 7th position as Sequeira moves up to 6th. And look at him struggle up the hill.
So we've been getting notes from Mick Claridge that these cars, they can be a handful at Fuji, and maybe not so much these tight and twisty corners. Yes, I mentioned you have to tiptoe them around, but that's just the nature of these cars. Jake, I really feel like exiting turn 1 through turn 3, really those medium speed corners where you're accelerating, we are going to see some epic power slides today.
Yeah, and it's going to be all about that balance. Some drivers do love a little bit more of a twitchier car in the rear as Tixier up over, looks to try and charge. Only a 34.4 here and remains in 7th position with that time. So was unable to improve. And that at the moment is everyone. We might even get a quicker start to this race due to inactivity. So that might take 30 seconds off of the clock, which means we can already go over to our starting grid then for racing action here today. It is Oye Zamayoa who puts the car on pole position, the driver, second overall when it comes to the championship. Mick Claridge will be alongside him, the stage hunter for qualifying. Jorge Nieva and Hervé Trengarade will house the second row of the grid, with Togo Hasada on home soil starting 5th alongside Ishtok Vreco. Sebastian Tixier will have to make it happen from 7th today, with Leo Sequeiro in 8th. John Olsen will have Heike 360 ES beside him, Xavier Sanchez.
And then in 11th, we have Ricardo Ruiz in the number 9 car. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado will start 12th next to him. Farron Grau in 13th, along with Laust Olsen in 14th. Jeff Saunders is going to share row number 8 with Shinsuke Tashima. Steve Morris in 17th, Matthew Maudsley in 18th. Then on row number 10, your F2 points championship leader, Bjorn Ackerman and Joel Quintana.
Quintana there in 20th position over the page. Cam Porter and Daniel Perez will house themselves on the 11th row with Eloy Verge and Costa in 23rd position and Michael Grissinger in 24th. Tobias Hanvey has the World of Kinduchi, Robert Plumley next to him in 26th with Shadi Ahmad 27th and Kaneko Tsutomu in 28th position. Kevin Verbruggen will be in 29th with Sandeep Banerjee in 30th position. The last 7 drivers are sat back here and they will be split by the iRacing with Jan Stefan and Andrew Eng setting times. That will mean Jason Clapper, Alejandro Sanchez, Kurt Clapper, Mats Linden and Oscar Plada will be the last few drivers in this field. Just the one split here today, Joey, which means that it is going to be scary. And look at the track temperatures, scary hot.
I was just noticing that myself, and I was checking the time. We are noon in sim time, so that ambient air temperature, 67, that's not so bad, but 106 on the track, as well as no wind to speak of. I have a feeling it's not going to be coming down at all, Jake, with these cars. If anything, it's going to continue to rise.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be crucial here. These drivers are in the hot box here today around this Fuji Speedway, the track that hosted the Cycling World Championships finish for both time trial and for the road races in the 2020 Olympics held in 2021. Of course, the road race being won by the likes, of course, of Anna Kiesenhofer and Richard Carapaz. But as these drivers set themselves up, it is a relatively short run to turn 1 for what is considered a long front stretch. So they are going to have themselves, I would say, a decent run over towards the opening corner. There are chances to gain those places, but Daiichi corner, the first corner, is one where you can easily trip up because it is down the hill as you look to try and put the power on. Deceptive as you drive around this place today. Who's got time? Who's got patience? And who, Joey, would you say has got the magic ticket?
I think if I'm looking at the front row of this field, I think really anybody inside the top 8 can steal away that turn 1 lead. We aren't going to be surprised if we see 3, 4, and even 5 wide.
We could see all of that here as the lights now go on here at Fuji Speedway. The lights go out and we are underway. It's a very, very, I would say, average start by Shamayoa, who's now going to be absolutely swarmed. Claridge flies into the race lead then as he takes a hugely defensive line into the opening corner. Everybody's squirreling for position through the middle of the pack there, almost over the inside curb. When Ishtok Vreco, who very nearly found himself with a slow down penalty, down the hill, over the bridge, and in towards Coca-Cola for the first time. It's single file.
And this is a high-speed part of the
On
racetrack,
the back.
and I'm looking through, maybe 1 or 2 issues. I think it might be Daniel Perez Hoya that is spun around. I see the number 17 car and more problems. Oh, no, Jake.
Oh, no, indeed. They all sort of scampered across the road. Daniel Perez, I think, was one who ended up having to skirt across the grass. We catch a replay of it, and it just got so chalked up. You can see 2 and 3 wide pretty much everywhere as they look for a position. Perez overcooks it, realizes I'm going to have to cut to the grass to try and get through. Never a pretty sight. It was going to be an accident wherever he hit.
No, it wasn't. It was a little ambitious on the opening lap from that number 17 car, but unfortunately, he's going to have to go to the back of the field. It's still Mick Claridge that's leading the way. Oye Zamayoa giving chase. Jorge Nieva in 3rd.
And the draft today is going to be the most interesting to see as we look at that Ford DFV Cosworth engine. It's going to be how much can you extract out of it as they start to charge up on this front stretch, the highest point of this circuit in the shadow of Mount Fuji, Japan, here in Shizuoka Prefecture, Japan. Here is the move then to look behind, and everybody is closing up. Big lockup. Oh my goodness, what a save from Hervé Trengrade. He saw in the sight Sebastian Tixier was going to lock it up and run into the back of him. He just went straight on to avoid it.
Great heads-up driving from Mr. Trengrade out there. Saved his car from any sort of damage. And you were right, Seb Tixier just completely overshot turn number 1. And now we actually see Ove Trengrade moving out to the side. I wonder if he's actually got to slow down from going off of the track there.
Yeah, he's got a slow down penalty. He's now going to have to serve it, and it is going to take a while. He finally does, but it will drop him now behind Ishtok Greco. So that is a real shame. He's now back in 8th place here, and he's actually vulnerable to 9th if he's not careful, because he will have Xavier Sanchez looking to try and find a way through. Now, this normally is a big braking zone where you can make a pass. Because it's a transit corner, very similar to the likes, Joey, of turn 1 at Portimao, it is a very tough corner to get the move done.
And if you go kind of the outside, it's just a long way around every single one of these corners. But we talked about how you have to tiptoe these cars through this slower section. Look at the wheel inputs. Every single time you're standing on the gas, there is counter steer. You have to act like there is an egg under your throttle. Don't crack that egg.
Oh, you really do have to be cautious, and that, I think, has been very, very telling. On, though, with the power on this very, very long front stretch. Recco will have to look behind at Trengarade as we focus from Sanchez's view. Nieva with the fastest lap, but here comes the move then. Over to the inside, over to Daiichi corner, lap 3 of 21. Down on the brakes, and he gets it perfectly squirreled off. Oh, it's a huge accident behind. Absolutely massive. Someone's gone straight on. Looks like Farron Grau's been caught in it, and that's Robert Plumley, maybe, is it there? Who's been caught? No, it's Laust Olsen, who's just gone straight over the back of the wheel.
So unfortunate for Laust Olsen. I always say that if Laust didn't have any bad luck, he would have no luck at all. And unfortunately, this time, I think Laust was in deep into turn 1. You saw him collect a car in front, and then there was more cars affected behind.
Yeah, that is what you call misjudging the brakes. And these are brakes that fade over the course of a race here, Joey. We've seen Tixier have struggles over the last 2 rounds with his brakes. Everyone knows that that is one of the biggest braking zones they'll have all season.
Well, you're coming from one of the highest top speeds to one of the slowest apex speeds, so not only is it one of the biggest braking zones all season, but it's also one of the biggest passing zones, so the driver's eyes, they get really wide, especially after sitting in a straight line for so long.
That's going to be the key. I tell you what, there's Nieva in 3rd position on the back of these two, Zamayoa and Claridge behind. There is Sebastian Tixier. He is all over the back of John Olsen there for about 5th position in this race. They've broken 1.5 seconds to Togo Hisada in 4th place, but everyone is starting to just shuffle up a little bit here. They're looking for moves left and right. You can see a little pivot in the back of shot as close goes Zamayoa, not there. Tixier having a little look, not there. Everybody knows that this is one of the few races you look at and go, you've always got a chance on the front stretch. You can always buy your ticket to the end. And there's more troubles at turn 1 because there's been another driver turned around. It's your F2 championship leader, Bjorn Ackermann.
Oh, very unfortunate for this driver of the number 30 car. We're going to get a GSRC replay here. Watch Bjorn Ackermann. He's the white number 30 car. See if he gets any help. I believe it was the number 25 that kind of came in a little bit hot there and made some contact with the right rear of Bjorn.
Eloy Verjan Costa there, who was looking down the inside. Now, it was a late turn-in, you could argue there, from Bjorn Ackermann from that angle. He very much signaled that the door was open. You could go for a lunge.
Yeah, it could be viewed either way, and I think that turn 1, Jake, with how big the braking zone is, it can be really, really easy to overshoot that brake marker of yours, and even if you do by only 10 feet, the amount of speed that you're carrying compared to everybody else is pretty dramatic.
There is the look at the rig of Sebastian Tixier right now. You can see he's got the motion sensors there in the back of the car with a H-shift pattern gearbox as well, which is very unconventional for what you find in sim racing, but he's got every single sense available to him replicated through his force feedback as he goes through. Zamayoa, by the way, has now set the fastest lap of the race, and they can see there at the front, 1, 2, and 3, they're almost all over each other.
I was seeing that the pace between really our top 5 was almost identical, so I know that there's a little bit of track position separating the top 3 from Togo Hisada, but I have a feeling if that number 3 car was within the draft, he'd be right there as the caboose on the train.
He very much would be, and I think that's what Togo Hisada's relying on, these drivers starting to battle, and he can then get back into play over the top of what is classified as the hairpin on this circuit, sometimes known as the Advan Corner, and down the hill through 300R down here. This incredible fast section of circuit leading to the brakes here at Dunlop, and then back up the hill. Look how aggressive Mick Claridge goes. He does attack that curb on the inside mighty, mighty aggressively.
And you know, I never talked about the elevation, but we're climbing up out of one of the lowest areas on the racetrack. And you mentioned 11, 12, 13, 14, how we really have to slow the cars down. It is an uphill climb all the way. And then I believe it was you that mentioned, Jake, this last turn, turn 14, when you make the crest there, it's actually almost seems off camber trying to put the power down.
Yeah, you have to be so patient, and it really does challenge these drivers in terms of the way they go about it. There's no wonder that Toyota, who owns this circuit, absolutely love it. They want a circuit that's going to challenge their machinery, and it does. Now Zamione needs to look behind. A big lift off then from Jorge Nievo. Doesn't want to get himself in. Over to the pit wall, defending here is now going to be John Olsen as he sees then on the inside. Can he get it slowed up against Tixier? No, he cannot. Down the hill, Tixier's going to have himself the inside through 2, over the bridge, and over towards turn 3 here at Coca-Cola. Olsen still sticking it to the inside. He's not going to have drive, though, for the long right-hander that follows.
I'm watching that third car line. Watch out for Uwe Trengrade. He's going to try to open the door wherever he can. I really feel like that orange and black car is the fastest of this group. He's going to go to the inside here at the hairpin. John Olsen does give him enough room, but I don't think he's going to quite have the pass done yet.
And this is a wide circuit here, Joey. So the moment that you do make that lunge up the inside, huge slide down the hill there from John Olsen. The moment that you make that pivot to the inside, you can hold the outside around here just because you've got so much real estate to work with, marbles or otherwise.
And sometimes when you're a racer, that's all it takes is moving that driver in front of you off of the racing line. Just have them shifted up a little bit, and eventually those over-unders just keep at it. You will get there on top.
And here comes the look then. A massive power move to the inside. Hervé Trenger is going to be slow on the apex. Block pass to the moon there for Hervé. The Norwegian gets another one.
It was perfectly done because look what's right in front of Trengrade. Seb Tixier pulling him along in the draft. So you think, well, he really parked it in 14. There's no way that's going to work, but it's got the help of the draft. But check out John Olsen. He's actually going to look back drivers right to the inside of Trengrade. Here in turn 1, he does get to the apex before. Can Trengrade do an over-under?
That's what he's banking on here, down the hill, over Mummy's Bridge, and heading towards turn 3 at Coca-Cola Corner. Gets to the inside, and I tell you what, this is an up and under trying to be found, but it's not there for John Olsen. They are battling each other away from Sebastian Tixier.
Yeah, and you know, I know that Tixier is running away, but I think that this pass is finally secured for Trengrade over Olsen. So now, Jake, I'm really curious. Remember, Trengrade had to drive himself off the track in turn 1 earlier. Let's really see how much ground he can claw back.
Well, that's going to be the key here. He drove himself off the road for one. He very nearly had to do the same again there at turn 1 last time out as well around this track. So he's really got focus. Behind that as well, Javier Sanchez has made the move on Ishtok Vreco. Leo Sequeiro on the back of that group as well. So really it's a 6-pack challenge here in the middle, all racing about for what is 5th down to 10th.
I think it doesn't matter if we look up front at the front 3 or we look here at the battle for 5th place. We could even go back probably for the battle for 20th, 21st place, I see is another big train of cars. If you come out here and race with this vintage series, doesn't matter if it's the 49s, the 79s, the Camel series, I love the respect and the fiercity on the racetrack. Everybody's out there learning, making passes, having awesome racing.
Tobias Harvey and Matthew Maudsley finding themselves in the mix. Shadi Ahmad going really wide, and that opens everybody up here as they look to drive off of the exit, looking for as much grip as they can. And it's very much a reliance on the mechanical grip of the car. No aero to speak of, so you're very much reliant on what's underneath you.
And look at this. I believe Steve Morris is involved in this. Potentially could get 3 wide into turn number 1. Matthew Maudsley also looking down the inside. Oh, big lockup right there as all 5 of these cars just kind of find their way through turn 1.
I think find is the right point because I think everyone used everyone else's braking marker there, Joey.
Yeah, it was a bit adventurous through there.
I tell you what, a choose-your-own-adventure book like that is something that we see quite often in races around here. You find yourself turning to page 54 and realize, oh, you spun the car and that's your race over.
Yeah, but you know what? You turn the next page, it's a new chapter, and you kind of get back going out there. I was mentioning, doesn't matter where you are in the field. I love the camaraderie between all the competitors. For the most part out here, everybody gives you space to race.
Yeah, there is space aplenty. There is Robert Plumley in 16th position. He's got Shunsuke Tashima just behind him. And then behind that, Jason Clapper, who, remember, started 33rd on the grid with his non-qualifying efforts as he's done all season long, and finds himself up 15 spots, looking to make it plus 17. Plumley looks behind. No, they're still there, mate.
I was curious to see how far trend grade was going to go up, but yeah, this is an awesome battle here. Jason Clapper still following along. Tashima also in the battle. And we're going to see Tashima go past Robert Plumley. But watch out for Jason Clapper. He's actually going to be patient down into turn one. Now he's starting to show the nose a little bit more here in Robert Plumley side by side on exit, Jake.
Look, that's just taking advantage of the fact that Plumley can't turn in through towards Coca-Cola corner. Turn 3's on the wrong side of the road. Wisely, it's backed out in towards the fast left-hander, but on the exit, if you overcompensate this fast right-hander, you've got no angle to really carry the speed off the exit, and you understeer so heavily through here. It's a double apex style corner. You've really got to try and gather it back up together again. Up then at the Advan corner, the hairpin, and now looking to attack back down the hill again. This is crucial right now in terms of the race for Jason Clapper, because he's just waiting for the right time to make the moves.
And talking about Jason Clapper here, Jake, I'm very impressed with the patience that we're seeing out of him. I think the pace is there, but it's not always about forcing the move as soon as you see that open door. Here in this series, I mentioned the camaraderie, the space given. You got to still make that pass clean. And when you're somebody like Jason Clapper, always starting at the back, you got plenty of practice time to put it on display.
Yeah, and that, I think, is going to be crucial. I'll tell you what I have noticed on this front stretch here, Joey. Between your leaders, Tashima gets a little bit of a slide off the exit, is that Zamiyo is not directly following in the slipstream of Mick Claridge on these straights. And because of that, I think he's deliberately not wanting to get enough of a run to effectively put himself into an overtaking opportunity at turn one. He is hanging Mick Claridge out until he wants to take the washing in at the end of the day.
But the one thing about the strategy here is look at the number 7 that is right in the mirror of that driver you were just talking about. If he's not too careful, he could have Nieva sneaking up the inside.
And that's going to be the worry here, that it's going to be Spaniard versus Spaniard in this race. Oh, huge over the curb. Mick Claridge is attacking. Oh, you can see as well in the background, Tiger Hasada is also attacking to stay with them. Now, Hasada's been the interesting story in all of this, because he's been stuck at about 1.7 to 2 seconds the entire race. It is agonizing, this race right now for Tiger Hasada. He can taste the fact that he is there, but he is not allowed a seat at the table. He's very much the dog under the table at the moment.
Now, look, I grew up racing Spec Miatas here. Now, I understand being stuck on a straightaway for a very long time. Imagine being Togo Hasada right now, yelling at your screens. You can see him right in front of you. Come on, go faster.
Come on, do something. Poke with the stick meme. Why not? That's going to be the race that he's dealing with at the moment. 1, 2, and 3 over the halfway stage of this race into Daiichi corner. And no dice for anybody making the move just yet. The patience factor is very much telling, and so too will the championship points. Now remember, they have 2 drop rounds available to them, but they are also in a position where every point matters. It's 55 points for second place, where Zamiyoa finds himself in right now, and those points could effectively halve the gap, but he knows if he moves into first position, Joey, he gets an extra 5 championship points.
Yeah, the points always matter. You got to snag them wherever you can, and when you have a good day on the racetrack, you have to capitalize. We always talk about the championships. On your bad days, you just have to get as many points as you can. But trust me, when you've got a hot car out there and you leave points on the table, you always remember that.
You always do. 60, 55, 51, 48, 46 is how the top 5 stand. Tixier would have 46 points, and if it could be 60 points for Oye Zamioa here today in this race, it would bring the gap of 15 to a gap of 1, and that gap of 1 would be +1 if this driver behind Tixier, Hervé Trengarade, can sneak away through.
He's got a great opportunity right here as we feed our way out onto the front straightaway. Trengarade's already closing in. Tixier moves way defensive. Honestly, Trengarade's going to have the racing line. The rubber grip is easily done before turn 1.
It just shows you how long this straight is, how much time you have to construct a move. And sometimes you get some drivers who look at turn 1. Yes, the brake's cool as they go towards opening section, but sometimes drivers get too much time to think.
Yes, it can be your own worst enemy sometimes, is double thinking what you're doing. And honestly, I don't think that Tixier put up any sort of fight there. If anything, the way that Trengarade was able to drive around him, I wonder if Seb actually lifted and said, hey, Ove, you want to go try to chase him down? Go for it.
Yeah, Hervé now left to do the work at the front. And I think these two who have built a 2-second gap to the group behind, I think are going to race each other for 5th place and vital points. Just behind, side by side, down the hill they're going to go. That's Ishtok Vreco and Leo Sequeiro for 9th and 10th position. The classic gold leaf livery is there for Sequeiro, who's looking for the up and under here, trying to attack off the exit. Didn't quite hit the curb properly there. So Ishtok Vreco is going to be very much able to hold station.
Yeah, and I think I saw that it was Vreco that was able to make the pass in that turn 1, 2, 3 complex. So we're going to see if he can now run away from Sequeiro. I see that right in front of Vreco, I guess it's a few seconds up the road, is Xavier Sanchez battling with John Olsen himself.
Yep, so there's very much a case where if drivers are starting to battle, you do have that opportunity to go through. And this is where you get these small packs of 2, these tandems that are out there racing together. And this is what you've got. Drivers effectively put into the second half of this race into 1v1 scenarios.
And I'm kind of checking on these 1v1 scenarios, Jake. The PvP battle royale, if you will. And Togo Hisada has actually fallen off the pace even a little bit more. It's now up to 2 seconds that he's behind the 3rd place car of Nieva. So Togo, he's got to find some pace out there, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's coming to him.
No, he's going to need a little bit of luck if Togo is to pogo up into the podium positions in this race. There is the number 15 car on screen of Marco Antonio Lopez, looking to try and gain some very important points in terms of his championship effort. He knows how crucial it is to get some consistency with Yoel Quintana there just in front and Ricardo Ruiz. The challenge is going to be simple. How many places can you gain in the final stages? Ruiz driving a really comfortable race in 11th.
Yeah, but he's got company right behind him, so just got to keep on doing exactly what you're doing as we check back with Seb Tixier. Now, I mentioned I really felt like he let Ove Trengarade by. I'm wondering if he's just content to sit in that draft. I was going to look at timing and scoring as these two went by and see what their raw lap time really was.
Well, we are going to see that raw lap time as they go through and over the line. It's 1:35.1 for Hervé Trengarade. That last revolution of the circuit, the leaders are going a second a lap quicker than these drivers at the moment, so patience is being had. Behind that, John Olsen heavy on the defense. Then with Xavier Sanchez, you can see the comparison in the lap times here, that the chase was very much there around the high 35s, the low 34s. They're all very, I would say, similar. And there is your Claris to Trengarade comparisons there. First time it's really gone whoomp, a big change in terms of the times between them.
Yeah, you look at that fall off, it went from Trengarade actually being about a quarter of a second faster to now 3/4 of a second slower. So what that tells me is either Uwe had a really big moment in that lap, maybe dealt with the car somewhere, maybe Tixier looking down the inside, but that or his setup is dramatically fallen off and he better get prepared to hang on.
1, 2, and 3, pretty much throw a blanket on them here. Through the next corner, over to Panasonic, which ends the lap thoughts at the inside are covered off. Nieva wants to drive off the exit. He can see the suspension turning as he sits on the back, wanting to gain that double slipstream toe along this front stretch and over to that right-hand side again. I think Oye Samayoa here is setting himself up here as Nieva might want to make this move. He decides, right, now is the time. The summer of discontent is over. We're in November, baby. Looking for the inside here at turn 1 and trying to get almost 2 for 1. He'll get the pass on Samayoa scored.
Yeah, Mick Claridge left a little bit of room there. I'm not sure if it was a lockup from him or if he was just leaving room in case Nieva couldn't get that car stopped. But either way, Nieva, the number 7 car, up into second place. And I really felt like he's been the most aggressive driver of the front 3. And now that he's moved his way up into the middle, we're going to see if he wants to lead away from Mick Claridge.
And look, after the last 2 rounds of the championship that Jorge Nieva has had, a poor Nürburgring and an Interlagos where you could argue he should have got much more out of it were it not for contact with Tixier. He needs a result here at Fuji. And down the hill he searches to the outside, trying to get it done at Dunlop. He's not got the angle for it, and he has to wait on his turn in because he moved a little bit too close to that left rear tyre of Mick Claridge.
And here we go through the slowest section of the racetrack, turn 11, up the hill, over through turn number 12 now. Oh, huge slide from Mick Claridge. That's going to open the door for Nieva, but he's got to go the long way around.
He does, and Claridge can take advantage of that on the inside, but it's about squaring off the corner, which Nieva's done brilliantly. They will drag race to Daiichi Corner to end lap 15, and it looks like Nieva's got the advantage. Claridge is desperate to pull back into line and get some slipstream. Finally, he does, and moves hard back over to the right-hand side. This will bring Oye Samayoa through the middle. They're going to be 3 wide to Daiichi. Hold on to your hats. Who's going to hold on to this? They all lock it up. Mick Claridge has got it on the inside. Nieva now will try and strike back. He was first to straight to go. He's now third.
Very well ridden by Oye Samayoa to go up from third to second. Now he blocks off Nieva for that second place position. But I think the storyline there, definitely Mick Claridge had a huge moment through that slow final sector, was able to gather it up and still defend the lead.
Now, Samayoa has been the patience master around this track so far, and that's been the key to his success. He hasn't wanted the race lead, but going 3 wide, he forced everybody into a decision of, right, it's a make or break race. When you consider that Mick Claridge will have demons of what happened last week when he went side by side with Hervé Trengaray, he will know that he will leave a little bit more room this time around.
You just got to leave room for all of your competitors out there. You treat everybody how you want to be raced yourself. And this was the corner that Mick Claridge had the problem last lap. Really swings out wide, squares off that exit, is gentle on the throttle. Much, much cleaner through there this time.
Yep, and around at Panasonic then they go, and they're all trying to attack off the exit a little bit squirrely for Oye Samayoa, and he's going to have to spend the entire straight making that gap up. But again, doesn't want the slipstream here, doesn't want to be in a position where he can make the move on Mick Claridge on this straight. Nieva will happily take some toe. Back into line they'll go on the front run, with now crossing the line they go. They start lap 17 of 21. 5 laps to secure a destiny in this race at Fuji. Here comes Tixier straight back at Hervé, but he looks for the inside. He locks it up. He still can't find consistency on the brakes.
And you saw Trengaray kind of give him a little bit of room, saw the lockup from Tixier. Just great heads-up driving from that number 2 car. Jake, how many times have we seen him literally drive from the mirrors to avoid wrecks today?
That's just been the way that Hervé's been racing. It has been all about preservation. He has no trust for anyone behind him, and he has been in the rear-view mirror instead of looking forward. This is what judges him in terms of what he wants for his championship. Consistency of finish has been what's got him to this point.
Yeah, and he just needs to keep chugging along right now. I really felt that Trengaray was the faster of the two, at least when he was given chase, but Seb is really proving me wrong right here, attached at the gearbox of the number 2 car, and they're laying down some very fast lap times.
They are laying down the laps, but they also know that there's not much hope of catching Togo Hesada in front, who's 4 seconds down the road with what will be 4 laps to go when they cross the line. Everybody knows that these two are racing for 5th and 6th, and if it goes wrong between the pair of them, they are going to lose a bucket load of championship positions. They all move to the inside on the front stretch here, and now Zamayo is trying to go to the inside. Claridge is covering it off. Nieva doesn't know which way to go, has to get well out of it. Huge lunge up the inside. 1, 2, 3. Take each other out.
Yeah, that was just a miscommunication really from all three, and it's Zamayoa that escapes out front, but look at what's happened. Togo Hisada now is in 3rd place. He's in the mix, and he doesn't have a damaged car. There goes Zamayoa. It is all over the place.
It's all over the place because it's the black and orange mechanical flag, and he's out. Oye Zamayoa is out here at Fuji, and his championship hopes surely have gone up in smoke with that one move here in the race. Looks to the inside at the Advan corner. It means that Hisada now is up to 2nd on what looked like a surefire 4th. He's now got a shot of victory here. Looks to the inside, down the hill, heading towards the right-hander of Dunlop. It's Togo Hisada who leads.
And he stole away the lead. Mick Claridge is going to try to do the over-under. He does have the car on the right side of the racetrack. Togo Hisada defends the long way around. Now that will give him the advantage here through this left-hander. Nieva trying to sneak up the inside for 2nd behind him.
Yeah, and he knows it's all about drive. He's on the wrong side of the road for Panasonic, and he's going to have to square the corner off again, taking that wider line and having to put the power down early. Still 3 fighting up at the front, but how good are these cars? Togo Hisada makes a very early call to move back to his racing line, almost in the pits there, trying to defend his Mick Claridge, and he's going to cede that 2nd position now to Jorge Nieva. Nieva now is going to have a go here on lap 19, searching on the outside here compared to Hisada to take the race lead, but Togo covers it off just about on the exit. He'll try again for turn 3 down the hill.
Wallen, check in 1 lap from now, because with this front 3 battling, the lap times have fallen off, and cue the Jaws music because Tixier and Trengrade, they are now under 2.5 seconds behind. This could turn into a 5-car battle for a podium. Oh, Nieva almost into the back of Hisada through 10.
Oh, now it opens up. They fan it through the corner. Contact. Nieva gets turned by Mick Claridge. Bit of net code there. But Nieva, for the 2nd straight race, has been tipped.
That was a huge amount of ghost contact. You called it there. Definitely net code between Mick Claridge and Nieva. So unfortunate to see that car spun around. But look at this. The blue car of Tixier ever closer.
Togo Hisada has got to run, and that he definitely knows. Twice and a bit up and down the mountain. Tixier has no right to be in this scrap for the victory. It's not an indictment on his skill or his talent. He's a championship leader, but my, has he been profiting off everyone's malaise today.
And, you know, he really tried to get greedy there, and it didn't pay off for him, so he actually lost just a touch of track time. He now sees 1.5 seconds between himself and that 2nd place car of Mick Claridge, so Tixier is standing on the podium now.
He is, but Hervé is so going to want it. He has been Mr. 3rd place behind him all season long. He's got 5 of them for everything that he has done this season, and he's looking for number 6, and it will be a crucial one to gain some points on this driver here who is sat at the top of the table at this moment in time. Flying about then through towards turn 3. They almost attack that inside curve. It's almost like slalom the way they go through Coca-Cola corner.
That little plastic bollard there, I have no idea who put that out on the track, but trust me, every single one of these drivers, they'll take it down.
They will, and then some, I think, is going to be the key. Behind these drivers, Nieva is still in this race, by the way. He's in 5th place. He's trying to desperately get into this 39 flat, of course, with the spin on that last lap. So he's got work to do, and he still could chase that down. Everybody driving on tenterhooks, and I wonder, actually, how damaged Mick Claridge is, because he's now almost outside of a second to Togo Hisada with a lap and a bit left.
You know, I thought I was onto something myself there, Jake, because Claridge is definitely damaged, and then I check, our producer has been saying, oh, and no, there goes Tixier around. He just spun it by himself trying to put the power down.
He doesn't make mistakes often, but when he does, that's big. It costs him 2 places. Trengarade into third where he's been all season. Nieva picks one up as well. There is Mick Claridge. Look at the damage on the front, the scraping to the front box of the car. That is huge. That was with the contact with Samayoa, and that's what he's been scrapping with all race long. Look at him on the straight. He's fighting it every single stage of the way. Behind for fourth now, they start to scrap it out.
Yeah, you can physically see that yellow car. It is not driving in a straight line, and I checked in on his steering wheel. Trust me, it is not straight either, but it is all Togo Hisada's race to lose at this point.
9/10 of a second clear of the field with Nieva in fourth, Tixier in fifth, Trengarade in third, and out of the race is Oye Samayoa. This would be huge in terms of championship effort to claw back some all-important points. Claridge, the stage hunter, is not giving this one up for a race win, but it looks like it might be a stage too far unless Hisada struggles. He's lost one already this season in Milwaukee. He'd so desperately want those points back this season. Down the hill at Dunlop now, and it's the long rise up for home, heading towards these next right-handers here. This is the first one of them. The next corner is next, sometimes known as the Toyota GR Supra corner, out on circuit. Line astern through the entire field, and then Panasonic will be the last bastion. Tixier knows that he's got not much. Claridge knows that he's got no power left. Togo Hisada, oh, what a sweet win this will be for him. He has absolutely earned this one. He has played coy with everybody else, deciding that pandemonium would reign supreme in the shadow of Mount Fuji. Togo Hisada takes it on home soil.
Mick Claridge with the wounded car going to wind up in second. Trengarade rounding out your podium as we check out Mick come to a sliding stop, do some donuts down at turn number 1 out there. In fact, I see the whole podium out there pretty much doing donuts. It was side by side between Quintana and Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado at the line. Jake, I saw 7/100ths of a second separated 11th and 12th.
There's some close battles all the way down through the line. Laust Olsen looking to try and pick one up on Kevin Verbruggen for position. That looks like it's not going to happen. Michael Grissinger and Matthew Maudsley also looking pretty close here, heading towards the line. The last of the stragglers will make their way over in what has been a long and arduous race here today at Fuji Speedway. But let's catch our breaths. Let's take a moment to step aside. We'll be back with post-race coverage after this. The entire race was waiting for fireworks, and with 5 laps to go, boy howdy, did we get them here today at the Fuji Speedway. No chicanes, no problems. It's a race that is definitive of what this season has been all about. Togo Hosada picks up the win, 33 minutes and 12 seconds. The margin will be 1 second and 1,000th over Mick Claridge, who had to walk wounded home after contact with Zamayoa and Jorge Nieva. Over Trengarade would end up in 3rd position, with Nieva tipped around, finishing back in 4th. Tixier with a small mistake would cost him 2 places at the end of today. He will end up in 5th and cede some points to his main rivals, with Xavier Sanchez finishing in 6th, ahead of John Olsen and Ishtok Vreco. Leo Sequeiro would end up 9th, with Ricardo Ruiz rounding out the top 10.
Joel Quintana in 11th place with his finish. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado will finish in 12th. Eloy Verga Ancosta in 13th. Jason Clapper with a great run, I believe up 19 positions is what I see, to finish in 14th place. Shinsuke Tashima with a top 15 effort. Cam Porter coming home 16th. Robert Plumley finishes in 17th. Kevin Verbruggen in 18th. Laust Olsen in 19th. And Michael Grissinger with a top 20.
Matthew Maudsley would be on the outside of that top 20, with Tobias Hanvey and Bjorn Ackermann feeling like he's left some points on the table. Does gain a little bit, though, on Jan Stefan, who could only manage just behind him in 24th position, with Kurt Clapper and Andrew Eng. Oscar Plada would be 27th, ahead of Mats Linden and Kaneko Tsutomu in 29th. First retiree of the race is Oye Zamayoa.
Then in 31st, we have all of the cars that unfortunately did not finish the race. A couple big ones down there that we saw, including Daniel Perez Hoya's incident early on.
So troubles for a number of drivers over the course of this field, but we have the chance to speak with our race winner, Togo Hosada. Togo, first and foremost, Yusha omedetou gozaimasu. Second of all, an important win for you. It looked like the first half of that race, you were just desperate to get into that top 3, but they just had a little bit to keep you away.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, arigatou gozaimasu. Yeah, it's a very tough race for me, because Mika and I were only about the 300 seconds difference in the race pace. So the net are getting closer to no further away from the front. So it was very the mentally mentally tough today, and just playing and wishing, hoping from the top seed battling, and that's actually happening, and I took the somehow I took the chance, so really happy today.
Well, incredibly happy, especially with how that all just spectacularly blew the race apart in front of you. In terms of having all those main rivals around you run into troubles today, have those struggles, are you finding form at the right time for your season?
I learned the victory in the Milwaukee Mile, so I'm in a little bit the slump this season, so just keep calm down, and I just finally get the win, so really great.
Feeling great. It's going to be Mount Panorama Bathurst 1 week from today, a circuit which commands all of the respect of the drivers. For you, it's a case where you're starting to pick up the form at the right time. You're starting to gain the points at the right time. Are you in a must-win mode for this championship at this point?
Yes. And Mount Panorama, my one of the favorite tracks, so they're really looking forward to race next week.
Well, favorite track on a win coming off of Fuji. It's all coming up Togo Hosada at this point in time. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank, Togo?
Yeah, just Lotus 49 community and my family, and especially the Ferran Grau. He chat me before the race to the play for the the good luck. And I thought it's really strong for his playing. Yeah, I've got a really good luck. So really thank you Ferran.
No worries at all. A Subarashi drive from Togo Hisada, who picks up a huge race victory. Mick Claridge would be on the other end of that victory in second, stood by with Joey Atterbury.
Well, Mick, I think it's a little bit bittersweet, but congratulations on the second place.
Yeah, cheers, Joey. Can you hear me all right? I've messed up my sound there.
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
we got
Cheers.
you. You're okay over here on our end.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange race, really. Yeah, when I got the lead, I was watching Oye, obviously watching the guys behind, and yeah, Oye was like running down the middle of the straight, and so I was like, my whole plan was maybe let's see if we can get them to fight, down the straight. So if Forge was going to pull out and try and get a move done down the straight, I'd give the slipstream to the weaker guy and see if I can get them side by side in turn one. But it never really happened. So yeah, and it was like a bit of a boring first half to the race, really.
Well, it didn't seem boring in the last handful of laps. Talk to me about the move in turn one. Were you expecting that coming from so far back, or having a 3-wide moment there for the lead?
Well, I was expecting a 3-wide moment there all race. It's been like that all week. We've been running 3-wide there, no problem whatsoever. And I watched the replay from my standpoint in the race. I was looking at Oye just to see where he was braking. I trust my riff now, Johnny. I sorted it out. So I was looking at Oye to the left, and as soon as I looked straight, because I realised we were sort of together on the brakes, I just saw Jorge go straight across the mirror, and I thought, oh god, he's definitely going to have the line into turn one here, the apex, and so I mean I was well early enough to sort of get it wound up and have enough grip to get round turn one. Tried to give him enough room, but yeah, all coming together. But it was just a mess up. I think he might have messed his braking up a bit, but yeah, fair play though.
It was a little bit of a disaster down there in turn one, but let's forget about Fuji and let's look ahead. Bathurst, I see, is next on the schedule. Are you going to be attacking the mountain?
Oh, absolutely. I love the place. It's just, I don't know what it is. It just really fits the 49 really well. Coming out of turn one, you go over there, you've got a jump there. Any other car, you just ride over that full throttle. You have to think about that in the 49. It's just insane. I can't wait. Yeah, really love the place.
Well, Mick, that's all it for here for Fuji. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, you guys, the community. Well done at Togo. Home Grand Prix for him. Yeah, brilliant. And the Mackenzie boys. Don't mess with the Mackenzie boys. They're watching.
That was Mick Claridge, your second place finisher. And Jake, I was just noticing we're at the foothills of Mount Fuji and going to go to Mount Panorama next week.
Well, we are mountain men. That much we have certainly known. The Scar-style car of Cam Porter ended up in 16th position here today, and he's joined with us right now. So the question is, Cam, in terms of the way that you have wanted your day to go here, you have been searching for points all across this season. By far and away in the F2 Championship, this has been your best round, that 16th place, 35 points for you here today. How important has it been for you to put it all together today?
It feels good. I've been struggling with bad luck the entire season. I had problems with my shifter that was wrecking myself out of races, and I had some unfortunate incidents with other cars, and at one point I gave myself a penalty. So just my luck this season has really been bad, but I'm very happy to just finish a race safely today, and had fun battles with Shinsuke as well as Jason Clapper and a few guys at the beginning of the race. It was a little quiet in the middle, but my new shifter arrived yesterday, so I'm very happy to get this 16th place.
Well, it certainly has propelled you up through the order. Just talk about what makes this track so difficult for you to drive, because it's a very fast and flowing opening half to the lap, but it gets very technical towards the end. So how do you set a car up, or how do you look at the way that you drive, which balances between a fast flowing half of the lap and a slower, more technical half of the lap?
I don't put that much thought into it. I just use iRacing's setups, and I really like this track. There's lots of racing room, nice and wide, good passing opportunities, obviously in turn one, also in other areas of the track. I just really enjoy this track. It's got a lot of different types of turns. Got hairpins, got some fast flowing sections, a little bit of elevation change. So I don't know, nice scenery as well. So this is one of my perfect tracks.
You can't knock the scenery. And I tell you what, there was a certain driver who said, if in doubt, flat out, which was Colin McRae, one of the greatest rally drivers of all time. I think that mantra suits you quite well. Mount Panorama. So from one mountain to another mountain, how are you going to fare at probably the most difficult track on the calendar this season?
Well, I hope to just stay off the walls. I have done a lot of laps there, considering I do a lot of supercar racing, and done the Bathurst 1000 for 4 years in a row. So I have a lot of laps there. So I'm hoping my chances are good, as long as I can just stay clean.
Well, we hope it stays clean for you as well. Cam Porter there joining us, a 16th place finish overall, thumbs up and smiles and all the rest of it there for him. But that is going to bring proceedings then to a close from the Fuji International Speedway with your Grand Prix Legends series. I want to give a massive thanks to everyone who has got it done from us, from Joey, from Robert, and from Dougie. You can catch all of the equipment that has been used to make this incredible broadcast happen, including the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff over on Bandcamp if you haven't already. It's been an incredible season. It will continue to be so with 2 rounds left in the championship. It is all Australia from here on out. It's Bathurst followed by Phillip Island, 2 very polar opposite tracks. You don't want to miss them at this same time, at this same place over the next 2 weeks. All our other brilliances of racing are coming across your screen right now, so make sure you check those out, as well as our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you at Mount Panorama.